Boris Skid are cute Pokemons, it's Mez and welcome to another video. Now, Sasuke 42 is right around the corner and this is one of the biggest projects I've ever done on my YouTube channel, split into 4 parts. As a passionate Sasuke Ninja Warrior fan, I always wanted to do some sort of long thoughts video of a Ninja Warrior competition, so I present to you Mez's Sasuke World Cup 2024 analysis. Ever since televised international ninja competition started in the US and spreading to many more countries over the years, I always thought Japan would do the same. But when? Fortunately, it has happened this year during the summer in August and it's been a long time coming. In this exclusive mini-series of my channel, I will go through which countries and how many teams have participated in the inaugural Sasuke World Cup. I will also go through how the competition format works and get my personal thoughts on a variety of topics, including going through all the competitors and the play-by-play results of each of the 4 stages split into 4 parts, as well as some behind-the-scenes footage that I thought would be interesting to share. I know this competition was airing exclusively to Japan, and for many Sasuke Ninja Warrior fans like me who live outside of Japan, can't afford to purchase a VPN to watch the whole competition live. Ironically, this took place during a working day, and I was unable to watch the stream live due to work commitments. Thankfully, I was able to watch it via external links, and it's fair to say, when I watched the competition the first time, I've never felt so excited to watch so many incredibly strong and talented athletes from Japan and around the world compete at the birthplace of Ninja to hopefully win the inaugural Sasuke World Cup trophy for their country. You'll understand why I definitely felt that way, as well as some other emotions as I take a deep dive with how the competition went, starting off with the first stage. Before I get into how the format works for this stage, as well as the results, let's look at the 7 teams that competed in the inaugural Sasuke World Cup. Wow, so 35 competitors, 7 teams split into 4 foreign teams and 3 Japanese teams. This is the first time we see an international tournament with 2 or more teams in one country, and there have been discussions on why this happened. But here's why I think this happened. Considering the past results we saw with Team Japan in international competitions outside of Japan, it's pretty clear that they totally suck at it for various reasons. So considering that this tournament was held at their home country, this was an opportunity for the producers to create more Japanese teams to increase their chances of finally winning their first international trophy. Secondly, choosing 5 competitors to represent your team is never easy. I'm sure everyone can have their say on which foreign competitors should have been part of those teams in this competition. It's whether they are free or not on the dates given to them to come to the studios to compete. Sasuke has produced so many talented Japanese athletes over the years, and I think for that reason, they want to create 2 more teams of different eras/categories to show how much this long-running obstacle course game show has changed over the years by selecting competitors that have impacted and made the ninja sport so popular today. In this case, other than Team Japan Red filled with the strongest current Sasuke competitors, we have Team Japan Blue comprised of veterans from the Shin Sasuke era and celebrities, and Team Japan Legends comprised of, well, you know, legends that were strong during the early Sasuke tournaments. And lastly, to hopefully increase viewership within Japan as well as ratings, some Japanese names you see here might look odd to you, but they are popular in Japan of certain acts they do. You'll find out who they are later in this video. As we look into the foreign teams, incredible lineups you see here. We see the likes of Rene Casserly, Jesse Graf, Daniel Gill and Ashley Herbert, who has competed at Sasuke before. More talented names including Zach Stoltz, Sean Bryan, RJ Roman and Clement Gravier, as well as 2 names many of us like me believe they were long overdue to compete in the Sasuke course, finally gets their chance to compete at the World Cup stage, Joe Morosky and Olivia Vivian. For my first impressions looking at this competitor lineup, I thought it would be interesting to see how the foreigners can perform at the Japan stage by using their skill, talent, composure and the experience they've learned competing in Ninja Warriors back home and around the world too. Would one of those foreign teams be able to edge out against the Japanese teams who have more experience on this particular course than them? We have seen some international tournaments where a foreign team wins instead of the home team. Who knows? Let's see how all these 7 talented teams did as we go through how the format of this stage works. The first stage primarily tests the competitor's speed to get past as many obstacles as they can and hit the buzzer at the end without falling into the muddy water or before time runs out. For how this format works for this stage, all 35 competitors were split into 5 heats, with each heat consisting of 7 different competitors from each team. This includes 1 heat containing only female athletes. There are 8 obstacles the competitors must try and get past, and the time limit to hit the buzzer at the end is 150 seconds. Also, the 3 attempts rule is applied on the last obstacle, the iconic warped wall, meaning they have 3 attempts to complete it, otherwise they will fail. In each heat, the competitors who clears the stage in the fastest time, or got the furthest the fastest, wins a maximum 70 points for their team, and it decreases by 10 as the ranks get lower, meaning the slowest person from each heat will earn a measly 10 points. This system kinda reminds me of my Mario Kart days, or any other racing games or sports that contain a point format system similar like this one. At the end of the stage, each team will have their points accumulated, and the 2 teams who got the lowest points will be eliminated. If at some point 2 or more teams have the same number of points, the team with the most clears will be ranked higher. Otherwise, it will be the person that has the furthest, fastest time that will win for their team. So now that the rules have been concisely explained, let's get on my play-by-play of the contestants and their results of this stage, starting with Heat 1. Heat 1 starts off with my favorite Sasuke competitor of all time, Shingo Yamamoto. This former gas station manager, now training gym owner, is well known for competing in all 41 Sasuke tournaments. He was certainly a beast back in the early days, but after Sasuke 17, he frequently fails at the first stage for a variety of reasons, with mental mistakes being the common one. As we're currently in the modern era of Sasuke and due to age, it's pretty clear that it would be a super rare thing seeing Shingo complete the first stage. The last time he cleared this stage was 2 years ago, at the 40th anniversary tournament, where he cleared it for the first time in 9 tournaments or 8 years, becoming the oldest person at 48 to clear this stage alongside one other teammate, in which I reveal later in this video. In the last tournament, he was unable to replicate his success as he slipped on the transition from the quad steps to the rolling hill. A shocking one indeed, and it's always a trademark for Shingo to mess up in certain obstacles like that one. My initial thought for this tournament was that he won't clear the stage and fail at the new obstacle, the Twin Dire. However, he used his vast amount of experience to get past the first 4 obstacles, including the last 3 that took him out on previous occasions. Surprisingly, he completed the Twin Dire in a relative fashion, proving that he's still got what it takes to complete this stage, and hopefully the first in his 50s. Unfortunately, similar to his fail in Sasuke 37, he made a poor trampoline jump on the Dragon Glider, failing to get his hands properly on the first bar, and his promising run came to a watery end. Not a great start for Shingo and his team, but a great start to this tournament. Up next, we have Rene Castle from Team Germany. Now, he has participated in Japan's Sasuke twice in the past. He is a strong competitor, having advanced to the final stage in Sasuke 37 and the 3rd stage last year. He is one of the top speedsters in the ninja world, and his run at the 1st stage last year shows that. He hopefully would use that experience to replicate that performance and show his team how it's done as team captain. Well, I can tell you, he was aiming for the top time just like last time. He would once again display his speed, recklessly moving through the first 4 obstacles of the 1st stage. At the Twin Dire, his speed run would shockingly come to an end when he rushed through the obstacle without waiting for the right timing and ended up tripping on the first diamond, disrupting the momentum of his jump to the 2nd diamond, and the jump was so poor he shockingly fell in the water. No blooming way that happened. I was not expecting Rene to fail at the 1st stage for the very first time. He certainly didn't have that captain trait of leading his team by example. This run is an example of a commonly used term in the ninja world called speed kills, where a competitor runs recklessly through the course without looking further or around for potential hazards and consequently meet their demise by falling out of the stage. I was even more disappointed that Rene should know better that the Japan stage contains motorized obstacles, so the position of obstacle components will not always be at a normal position. Sometimes you need to hit the brakes a little bit before you can accelerate past the obstacle at the right timing without any trouble. Every competitor needs a little patience, including top speedsters like him. As the saying goes, patience is a virtue. On to the next competitor, Clément Gravier from Team France. This climbing coach is the first competitor in history to have achieved total victory twice in Ninja Warrior France, so is hoping to showcase his talent and experience to get past the 1st stage. Thankfully, it showed. He was smooth and composed, getting past all 8 obstacles and became the first person to clear stage 1 with a time of 107.88 seconds. Impressive start for this talented young man. Let's see if his teammates can repeat his performance later on in this stage. Up next we have Ashlyn Herbert from Team Australia. Now this carpenter is nicknamed Flashlyn for his signature lightning speed on the course. He has competed before back in Sasuke 37, but despite his nickname, he sadly timed out at the end of the stage when he took his time between some obstacles. So hopefully he has learnt from his past failure and pull off a much pacier performance with caution. I can tell you, despite some risky moves, he was able to clear the stage in 68.45 seconds. Great redemption and an incredibly fast performance from Ashlyn, but would it be the fastest time overall in this stage? We'll see. Next up we have Team Japan Blues Masashi Hioki. This veteran, devoted family man and electronics store manager usually competes with a lower number in Sasuke to spread out the stronger competitors, and he is usually one of the first people to clear this stage, having done that in the past 9 tournaments. This was evident why he decided to go first for his team, and his experience and composure showed when he comfortably cleared it with a time of 98.75 seconds. Next we have RJ Roman from Team USA. This musician and ninja gym owner is one of the top competitors, having reached the final stage back home twice. He's also known for his incredible speed, so let's see if he can pull off a strong performance as well. It showed in the first 3 obstacles, but unfortunately, when he faced the fishbone, he was unable to figure out the timing past the spinning poles and fell halfway through the obstacle. Another shocking failure by a top speedster. Considering that there are no motorized obstacles back in the US, his failure was fairly reasonable. He didn't have that crucial timing skill needed to get past these types of obstacles. The motorized ones, I mean. The last competitor of this heat is Team Japan Red's Yoshiyuki Yamamoto. Now he is part of a small group called the Black Tires, led by Sasuke All-Star Katsumi Yamada, and is known to be the ace of the team, having pulled off strong results in his past 5 appearances from his debut. He is one of the top speedsters of Japan, and one of his ultimate goals in the competition is to produce the fastest time in stage 1. And he did. Thanks to being last of this heat and learning from the competitors before him, he was able to produce his signature speedy and composed run past the 8 obstacles with flying colors and finished in 65.61 seconds, the fastest time so far in the first stage. So that concludes the first heat. Here's the amount of points each competitor got and the standings. So a strong start for the teams that managed to clear the course, but on the other hand, not a great start for the German and American teams. They did embrace themselves at the end, hoping that both teams would climb out of the bottom and advance to the second stage. I mean, anything can happen in this tournament. A bad start doesn't necessarily mean a bad finish. So let's see if their fellow teammates can produce better performances than them as we head to Heat 2. Now, the order for the next 3 heats will begin with the team that has the lowest points from the previous heats. And starting off this heat is Team USA's Sean Bryan. He is known for winning the Super Salmon Ladder Skills competition twice back home. Having watched RJ falter early in stage 1, he would hopefully avenge his teammate by getting further in the stage and clear to earn as many points as he can to climb his team out of the drop zone. Now, this run is sadly the first to be digested or fast forwarded, which takes away the suspense of where a competitor would finish. One of the most annoying parts watching a regular Sasuke competition when its time slot is between 3 and 4 hours. However, I can tell you that he managed to reach the warped wall at the end, and despite a stumble on the first try, he was able to scale it on his second and clear the course in 101.52 seconds. That was the performance that the US needed, even though the time was a little slow, considering Sean took his time on the course. Let's see how many points he has earned for his team at the end of this heat. The next one to take on this stage is Team Germany's Benjamin Grams. This parkour athlete is nicknamed Speedy Gonzalez due to his incredible speed, so stage 1 should play right up to his strengths. As long as he doesn't get too reckless and fall off like his teammate and Captain Rene did just then. Now, his run was mid-cut to the Twin Diamonds, the obstacle that prematurely ended Rene's speedrun. Unlike his teammates, he was able to clear it by pausing and jumping between the diamonds at the right time despite a stumble. Using his excellent speed and determination, he got past the next 2 obstacles. Now, like Sean on the last obstacle, the warped wall, he tripped up on the first try, but scaled it on the second, clearing it with a time of 77.64 seconds. A really fast time if you ask me. Let's see if it's fast enough to earn the maximum number of points for his team to also climb out of the drop zone. Now it's time for the first Japanese to take on this heat, who is a legend, actor Kane Kosugi. Many Sasuke fans like me would remember him when he was so strong at his prime during the early tournaments, and has never failed the first stage since the tournament began in 1997. One of the most legendary moments that is still talked about to this day is his valiant attempt during heavy rain on the final stage in Sasuke 8. When his failure and downpour thought we would see the last of him in Sasuke, he made a surprising return after 21 years in Sasuke 40, and even more surprisingly, cleared the first stage, extending his unbeaten streak, and became the other oldest person to clear that stage at 48, shared with his fellow teammate Shingo Yamamoto. Now, he didn't compete in the last tournament when he pulled out an Achilles injury days before the taping began, and I think we're all glad to see him compete again for this occasion. He has recovered and trained on those modern obstacles for more or less half a year for this competition, and is hoping to uplift the crowd and audience by repeating the iconic performance he pulled off 2 years ago. However, there are 2 obstacles he hasn't tried before, the wing slider and the twin dyer. So there was some uncertainty for him going into this stage and extend that unbeaten streak. Inevitably, in many scenarios, including in the world of sports, unbeaten streaks do come to an end. And it pains me to say this, that it did happen at the World Cup. He smoothly got past the first 2 obstacles, but on the wing slider, he couldn't hold his traction long enough from the drop, causing him to slide down off the obstacle and into the muddy water. In my eyes, Kane was most likely going to be the one to get the best results for his team by clearing the stage at least. It's really unfortunate and disappointing that his run ended so early. He did give it his best at the end, and I'm sure he will not make that mistake again and clear the first stage in the next tournament. Up next for Team France, we have Valentin de Carnin. Now, he's a food development engineer that appeared in the grand finals in the past 4 tournaments back home. One of the common key skills that engineers have is being analytical of a design given to them, and that skill was helpful to Valentin during the course, being analytical and careful, getting past each obstacle and clearing the stage in 114.51 seconds. Next for Team Japan Blue, we have Hikaru Iwamoto, a self-proclaimed Sasuke superfan and a leader of the J-pop group Snowman. Before I get into the result of this competitor, I believe many Sasuke fans like me are questioning how he was squeaked in to be part of the Japan Blue team. As mentioned earlier, the team additionally contains celebrities, not just the veterans. This competitor, well, it's unsurprising how he got more screen time than the others, and I can understand your agitation here. It's a marketing tactic to bring celebrities into the competition to attract more viewers as possible, particularly J-pop or Snowman fans. I get it, just because he is popular in Japan for that reason, that doesn't necessarily mean he gets all the attention needed for this occasion. I was actually surprised when a top veteran who was part of the Shin Seidai, or new generation, Jun Sato, wasn't chosen to compete for this competition. If Jun had other commitments during that time, that's understandable, but on the other hand, if TBS were more serious about the competition and bringing in more top competitors to increase their chance of finally winning the first international trophy for their country, Jun would have been the better pick than Iwamoto, considering how consistent he is at the first stage, only failing it once on his debut in Sasuke 21. And he is another top speed demon from Japan. He would have made a big difference for his team had he competed, but this competition is not meant to be. Moving on to the results, well, during normal tournaments, Iwamoto has failed the first stage multiple times, but he did clear it on 2 consecutive occasions during the lockdown tournaments. Last time he competed, he was unable to make the jump between the diamonds in the new twin dye obstacle. Will he be able to learn from his mistakes and clear the stage this time? Well, I can tell you, he was smooth getting past the first 4 obstacles, but on the twin dyer, he did not learn from his mistake. He made a poor timing of the jump when the second diamond was at a vertical position, turning the platforms into a steep slope or in a wall position, preventing his feet from getting a solid landing, and fell into the water once again. Let's be honest, Iwamoto was doing so well with the help of his teammates, who trained him in the build-up to the competition. There is a saying that if you don't learn from your past mistakes, you won't be able to get further in the competition than before. Turns out this special occasion was not his lucky day. With that long chat about Iwamoto out of the way, the next 2 competitors you see here had their runs digested, and you can probably guess whether they've cleared the first stage or not. First, we have Daniel Mason from Team Australia. This physiotherapist and father of 2 has competed in every season of Ninja Warrior Australia, and is nicknamed the Barefoot Ninja, as he usually does training on ninja obstacles barefoot. Unfortunately, That is prohibited in the Japanese course for safety reasons, so he had to wear the closest barefoot footwear to keep him comfortable throughout this run. Apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a specific name for this type of footwear. Are they called Vibrams? Either way, thanks to his choice of footwear, he was comfortable during his run and cleared the first stage in 90.28 seconds. Last to take on this stage in Heat 2 is Japan Red's Kitaro Yamamoto. This seminar lecturer has cleared the first stage in the past 4 tournaments, and this experience showed, clearing the stage with a time of 87.68 seconds. So Heat 2 is finished. Here's the amount of points each competitor got and the standings afterwards. Benny Grams had the top performance for this heat, and those maximum points helped Germany climb out of the bottom to 3rd place. Sean Bryan's clear, but slow performance isn't enough to get them out of the drop zone, whereas Kane Kasugi's surprising early fall drops his Legends team to last place. Uh-oh, 3 more heats to go, and any team could exit the competition early if they're not mentally prepared for what's ahead of them. Will the US make a comeback at this point? Only time will tell, as it's time to move on to Heat 3. Time for the heat where the female representatives take center stage. Let's see if they can make an impact for their respective teams. First female to take on this stage is a top female athlete in the entertainment industry, Yuko Mizuno. Obviously each team had to have a female competitor, and if you asked me if I could think of any female Sasuke legend to be part of this team before the lineup was released, well, Ayako Miyake would have been a perfect choice, having achieved total victory an unprecedented 3 times on the women's side of the competition. But she has faded out of the ninja industry ever since, which is kinda reasonable. In the end, Yuko does seem to be a solid choice, and I'll tell you a well-known fact about her. In one Kunoichi tournament, I think in the 3rd one, she wore the number 100 and made it to the final stage where she was so close of being the first woman to achieve total victory by 0.2 seconds. I never thought she would compete at a Sasuke competition again after 19 years, and it certainly felt great to have her back for this special occasion. In the build up to this competition, she just recovered from an injury and spent weeks training on the modern obstacle replicas with top female competitor Ayano Oshima from Team Japan Red. The run she was about to do was to prove that she still got it as a female in her 40s. Doing it for the elderly female athletes, y'all. Anyways, her result? Her run was inspiring to watch. It even inspired USA's Jessie Graft, who would like to train like her, having just turned 40. Yeah, you think all this positive talk would surprisingly lead her to clearing the first stage, right? Not quite. Her age and absence were justifiably obvious as she wasn't going to clear the stage on time, but where did she end up failing? The Twin Diamonds. Not gonna lie, I thought she would fail a little earlier than that, but her training, her veteran experience, and taking her time did help her get past the first 4 obstacles smoothly. Now, she was way low on time on the Twin Dia, but nevertheless she gave it a go. Unfortunately, the fatigue got to her when she was unable to keep up the pace with the first diamond and fell. Still, it was a great comeback performance to watch from Yuko Mizuno after a long absence, and has hopefully inspired many elderly female athletes to do the same. Another Japanese female athlete takes on the first stage, and that is Japan Blue's Mai Watanabe. She is a musical performer and is part of the Samurai Rock Orchestra managed by Sasuke veteran Naoki Ikitani, and is known to be Ikitani's beloved student. She has competed once before in Sasuke 38, losing her grip at the end of the first track of the Dragon Glider. Let's see if she could pull off a better run than the one she did 4 years ago. She was mid-cut to the Twin Dia and smoothly went past that obstacle and faces her nemesis that took her out last time, the Dragon Glider. Unfortunately, she fell off at the same obstacle a little earlier than expected when she made a poor trampoline jump to the first bar. Watching her in the stands is Ikitani and fellow competitor Tomohiro Muto, who were just as disappointed as I am seeing her failing that obstacle again. The next 3 female athletes were digested, and I bet a lot of you, including myself, were disgusted that their runs got cut from the official broadcast, and probably because they are foreigners as well. I believe 1 or 2 of them should have had their full runs broadcasted. You'll see why in just a few moments. First up is Moran Angelique, who is a sports coach and was used to be part of the national climbing team for France. She was cautious getting past the quad steps and the rolling hill by over 50 seconds. However, like Kane Kusugi on the wing slider, she was unable to hold on to the drop and her run came to an early, watery end. Next, we have the stunt woman and captain of Team USA, Jessie Graff. She has competed in Sasuke 3 times in the past and has never failed in the first stage at those attempts. The dancing queen used her experience and was smooth getting past all 8 obstacles and cleared the stage with 105.18 seconds on the clock. Then we have the other female captain and a gymnast who represented Team Australia in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, Olivia Vivian. It was long overdue for Liv to compete in the Sasuke course, and it must truly be an honor for her to finally compete at the place where Ninja first started. Now, she is known for doing her trademark backflips when she scales the warped wall, and when the producers ask if she would do that if she gets the warped wall on the Japanese stage, she would do it. I can tell you that she managed to reach the warped wall. Can she scale it? Well, some might call her a show-off, seeing that the first stage is a speed course, and she must complete the course sooner to earn as many points as she can for a team. But that's part of her personality, and it wouldn't matter since the time she reached the warped wall was past Jessie's time. She regained her energy, took a deep breath, made the run-up, and she got her hands on top of the wall and pulled off her trademark backflip to finish the first stage in style with a time of 127.81 seconds. Surely a proud moment for Olivia to press her first Sasuke buzzer, and hopefully won't be her last. The last female Japanese athlete to take on this stage is Japan Red's Ayano Oshima. This kid's personal trainer and avid speed climber made history back in 2022 when she became the second Japanese female to clear the first stage, and the first after 26 years. She was unable to replicate that performance in the last tournament when she fell down between the tracks of the Dragon Glider, and is hoping she would redeem herself and join Jessie and Liv to be the third woman to clear this stage. Now, her result, as always, she did take her time between obstacles, resulting in smooth clears for the first 7 obstacles. And yes, she was able to learn from her past failure with a clean transition from the first to the second bar in the Dragon Glider. She had plenty of time when she got to the warped wall, so this could be a perfect redemption here. Or is it? She didn't get it on the first try and was now low on time to try and scale it on the second. She tried to scale the second time but was so close to reaching the top and time ran out. Where was the usual 10-second klaxon we're used to hearing at the regular tournaments? Why wasn't it used for the World Cup? But anyways, so close for yet another clear for Team Japan Red. At least her performance was flawless and better than last time, but the warped wall remained out of reach for another clear at the first stage. Maybe she can clear the first stage again in Sasuke 42. Who knows? The last female to take on this stage is Team Germany's Victoria Kramer. This software developer was the last woman standing in the last Ninja Warrior Germany tournament. She has studied the Sasuke obstacles and even trained on replicas in the build-up to this competition, such as using swinging punching bags for the fishbone and pushing a van for the tackle obstacle. She's quite tall at 178 centimeters, so her height should come in handy at some obstacles she could easily reach. Will her diligence pay off, as well as being able to take her captain Renee's advice on how to deal with each obstacle? Unfortunately not. Her training went to waste when she fell off midway through the fishbone, an obstacle she had been wary of as difficult to clear even before the challenge started. So at the end of the all-female heat, here are the points earned for each team and their standings afterwards. Jessie Graf's dominant run finally pulls her team out of the drop zone, while Moran Jelik's unfortunate exit leads her team down, now at risk of elimination. Looking at how many total points each team has so far, the 3rd to 5th positions is so close. We're over halfway through the first stage, so the last 2 heats could change their positions if they pull off some good performances. We'll see as it's time for Heats 4. First to take on this heat is Team France's Ilian Sherif. This former rock climbing champion achieved total victory back home as a rookie. Despite Moran's unfortunate fail they just saw earlier, Team France have been solid so far with 2 clears. It seems like their strategy on the first stage was to play it safe. It doesn't seem like a bad idea, but the times they produced on those clears were pretty slow. Too safe, don't you think? That is probably the reason why they're ranked 6th at the drop zone after 3 heats. Apparently, if they're in a sticky situation like this, the team captain Charles Poujard mentioned that he and Ilian are fast runners, and they would pace themselves on the stage to earn more points than before, justifying why they decided to run later than earlier. Let's see if Ilian can handle the pressure on where his team are at currently and produce a fast comeback run to earn as many points as possible. Now, I can tell you, the pressure certainly got to him when he made a lot of stumbles throughout his run, but he was quickly able to shake it off and clear the stage in 99.07 seconds. Wow, if Ilian actually fluked his run, it would be a pain for his teammates to watch, but he certainly did better than his teammates when he cleared it at a faster time. But will it be fast enough to earn those maximum points for this heat? Up next that had a digested run was Team Germany's Marvin Mitterhuber. This teacher has appeared in every season of Ninja Warrior Germany, and his students must be proud watching him compete at the place where Ninja started. But not too proud. The result? He failed the transition from the first to the second bar of the Dragon Glider. Another unexpected and disappointing result for Team Germany, and perhaps their chances to advance to the second stage are surely in jeopardy, right? I think the amount of points they earn in the last two heats will determine whether they stay or go in this competition. Now it's time for a true Japanese legend to take on the course, Katsumi Yamada. He is nicknamed Mr. Sasuke for his dedication and love for the ninja sports. Many of us Sasuke fans will definitely remember all the good and bad moments he had throughout his Sasuke career, especially the early days. Those infamous moments include his final stage run in Sasuke 3, where he was inches of achieving the very first total victory, his last third stage run at Sasuke 10, where he failed the dismount of the last obstacle, the pipe slider, and produced the infamous quote of all afterwards, "For me, there is nothing else except Sasuke," and the ongoing first stage streaks of failures he suffered after Sasuke 12 due to mental mistakes, age, and slow pace. When he realized that he cannot beat the first stage time and time again due to those factors, he started forming his own team, training the next generation of competitors to achieve total victory for him. One of these notable members you could probably guess is his ace, Japan Red's Yoshiyuki Yamamoto. I think it's truly an honor for Yamada to compete at the international stage and represent his country. A lot of foreign athletes also express their love for Yamada for the services he provides inside and outside the ninja sports, and felt honored to watch him in front of their eyes, having watched him so many times on TV in the past. Now, we all know the position that Japan Legends are currently ranked at the moment, and having him run later was a bit questionable. Coming into this heat, Yamada wants to dedicate his run to his parents who are no longer in this planet, and carries the lucky charm to hopefully carry their spirits and give him the motivation to finally clear the first stage after over 20 years. I think we can all agree that if Yamada finally clears the first stage, the internet would just blow up humongously. Everyone will be at their feet screaming with joy and producing a thundering applause. However, it was pretty obvious that it wasn't going to happen, not even at an international competition like this one. So how did he do on the first stage? Well, as usual, he took his time, smoothly getting past the first 3 obstacles like a proper Sasuke legend and true Sasuke All-Star. But on the fishbone, he got past 4 pedestals and had the perfect opportunity to land 1 foot on the 5th for his body to be positioned at the safe zone, or between the grey and yellow poles, where you're least likely to get hit by the poles. Unfortunately, he hesitated, and he got knocked out of the obstacle by an incoming pole spinning from his left. Looks like Yamada failed at the fishbone once again, having failed at the obstacle beforehand 2 years ago. But hey, at least he gave a strong, steady performance for his country and his team, and I hope his parents watching above are proud of his efforts. Now it's the turn of Japan Blue's Tomohiro Kawaguchi. If I was to describe Tomo's career in Sasuke, I would say that he has been more like a roller coaster ride, to say the least. For the past 5 tournaments, he has struggled to clear the first stage, having cleared it once 2 years ago. Having competed at many international tournaments outside of Japan, he is thrilled to compete at another one, this time at his homeland. I would like to make the most of this opportunity to produce top performances while in his 40s, and possibly with his Sasuke career coming to an end. He is desperate to finally win an international competition for his team. His big revenge day starts now at the first stage. The result? Seeing his 2 teammates celebrities fall before him, he didn't let that pressure get to him, and using his experience and learning from his past failures, he was able to clear the Dragon Glider that took him out last time, and even the Warped Wall, an obstacle that timed him out in 3 consecutive tournaments, clearing the stage like a proper veteran in 91.42 seconds. What a moment for Tomohiro Kawaguchi, and a pretty fast time too. The next 2 runs were digested, and try and have a guess on where those 2 ended up in the first stage. The Yamagata prefectural government worker Tatsuya Tada is up next for Japan Red. An interesting fact that I've learnt from this strong competitor is that after he got married in 2018, he has never failed the first or second stage, so this outstanding record and experience should serve him well in this competition, and it did, producing the fastest time of the heat so far with 85.42 seconds on the clock. Then it was the turn of the youngest competitor and only teenager in the tournament, Australia's Saxon Johnstone. Despite his age, he managed to clear the course in 120.09 seconds, the slowest time out of all male clears so far. Wow, that's 4 consecutive clears for Team Australia. The talents they've shown in the first stage so far are unbelievable to watch, despite the past 3 of them getting digested in the broadcast. Our final runner of this heat is Team USA's Joe Moravsky. He is also another competitor that is long overdue to take on the Sasuke course, and we finally got to see him compete in Japan for this special occasion. TBS have thankfully shown him his full run at the first stage during the broadcast, so we hope he can give us another foreigner likely to clear the stage, right? Right? No way. He failed so early at the rolling hill? Well, that probably makes sense. Here's the play-by-play of his run. Joe one-stepped past the quad steps and quickly ascended to the top of the rolling hill. When he tried to dismount from the second roller to the platform, his feet were placed further than I thought, resulting in a sudden spin on the roller, disrupting his momentum in the process, and poorly landed on the platform, so close to the water in fact, that he tried to leap back to the logs to save himself, but it was fruitless, and rolled down into the water. Wow, I'm speechless. I was not expecting that, especially from a veteran like Joe Moravsky. The rolling hill has taken out so many veterans in the past, and Joe's name has suddenly been added to that illustrious group. You name them. Surely that has to be the most shocking result of the first stage, right? I mean, Joe was certainly frustrated by that early exit, and took full responsibility for his team for that failure. This is Ninja, everyone. Anything can happen, especially to veterans, and it looks like his final teammate to take on the stage, Daniel Gill, has a lot of work to do. So here are the points earned for each competitor and the current standings. Joe's poor performance earns them another measly 10 points and drags his team back to the drop zone. Mathematically speaking, Team Japan Red and Team Australia have enough points for them to advance to the second stage thanks to their dominant performances. The other 5 teams are in danger of leaving the competition so soon, and the gap between each team are so narrow. It's up to their final runners to produce the best performances to earn as many points for their team. It's do or die. Which 3 teams will join Team Japan Red and Team Australia in the second stage? We'll find out later on this video, as it's time for the final heat. The competitor list for the final heat is stacked, with 5 of them achieving total victory at their respective countries in the past. Surely this lineup would promise to finish first stage on a high, right? Now, the order of this final heat is different from the past 3 heats. Teams with the highest points will start, or the order will be of how it's ranked after the 4th heat from top to bottom. As mentioned before, Team Japan Red and Team Australia are mathematically through, so that will ease the pressure on those final runners, and both runs are rightly digested. So let me quickly go over with those results. First up is the captain of Team Japan Red, Yusuke Morimoto. Nicknamed Sasuke-kun or Sasuke Kid, he is currently known by many of us as the strongest competitor at the modern era of Sasuke, having achieved total victory twice. In his past 12 appearances in the first stage, his runs were never digested, and this is the first time his run got digested for logical reasons mentioned earlier. Living up to his expectations, he skillfully cleared the first stage in 86.98 seconds. A fast time if you ask me, but considering this is a time stage competing for points, he had to go at an unusual fast pace, rather than clearing it carefully like he always does during normal tournaments. Then Zach Stoltz, a gymnastics coach from Australia, has a strong track record of beating the first stage back home, and his experience helped him clear the Japanese version of the first stage faster than Morimoto with a time of 80.62 seconds. His clear resulted in Team Australia being the only team to have all 5 members clear the first stage. What a fantastic moment from these incredibly talented athletes from down under. Up next is the captain of Team Japan Blue, Yuji Urushihara. This shoe salesman was the first person in history to achieve total victory twice. At 46 years old, he came into this competition to prove that he can still compete with many other talented ninjas when the odds are stacked against him, especially when competing against the rising stars, all the ones younger than him from Japan and around the world, apparently labeling him as Sasuke's Iron Man. During the broadcast, he was mid-cut to the twin Daya, but using his determination, experience, and like a true veteran, he calmly got past the second half of the first stage and cleared it in 107.87 seconds. The next competitor to take on this stage is Philip Goeffert. This university student from Germany surpassed the grand champion Rene Casserly in the last tournament of Ninja Warrior Germany. His biggest strengths are his upper body and grip strength, meaning that stage 3 would play right up to these strengths. But to get to stage 3, he has to get past stage 1 first. Disappointingly, he was digested, and even more disappointingly, he failed at the fishbone. But he didn't fall into the water like the 3 victims before him did. No, he struggled heavily going into the obstacle, and by the time he had fought his way up to the 4th pedestal, he lost his balance entirely, but saved himself by grabbing and holding onto one of the rotating poles to then clear the obstacle afterwards. Now, we have seen so many incredible saves on nationally televised ninja competitions around the world. Unfortunately, the save that Philip did was deemed illegal, and he was shockingly disqualified. The day before the tournament, all teams were gathered in one big room to learn the rules about the competition, and that includes what not to do on certain obstacles that could trigger a disqualification. I'm pretty sure the production team covered every scenario through various obstacles where you could get disqualified. I'm not sure whether Philip was aware of that particular rule in the fishbone. There was a behind the scenes video where Philip had misunderstood the rules of the fishbone and thought that competitors were allowed to hold on to a rotating pole as long as their feet were still on the obstacle. After Philip initially appealed against the disqualification, director Masato Inui came over to him to resolve the situation and informed him of the reason for his disqualification, which Philip at the end accepted. This is the first time seeing this rule come into play in the fishbone. Yes, inevitably you are going to get touched even a tiny bit by the poles while crossing the obstacle. So using your hands to move the poles as a gesture of saying you're in my way, move, is okay. But using your arms to grab on and save yourself is not okay. I can see why this rule has been implemented. A competitor might potentially break the pole apart from the obstacle using their arms, forcing the production team to pause recording and spend wasted time trying to fix it. Of course, no obstacle course TV show would like to see components of obstacles getting teared apart by competitors, which is why these types of rules are implemented for that matter. I mean, I was extremely disappointed for Philip to end his stage 1 run by this unexpected disqualification, and I thought he would finish strongly and earn that much needed points to increase his team's chances of advancing further in this competition. Now, looking at where he ended up failing, this doesn't look good. All he has to do now is rely on other results for his team to hopefully get where they need to be and receive good news. Sorry for the long chat about that run. Time for Team France's captain, Charles Boujard, to take his turn on the first stage. This former World Chase Tag Champion is a YouTuber who usually does extreme stunts with his girlfriend, Melanie. His parkour experience and incredible speed should come in handy for this particular stage. His run was mid-cut, and I can tell you that he had a good time of about 48 seconds when he passed the twin diamonds, so we might see another speed run here. Unfortunately, he was too hasty on the next obstacle, the dragon glider, and grabbed the second bar with his hands at an awkward position, which caused him to fail the jump transition. Wow, another shocking first stage failure we've witnessed at this World Cup stage. Perhaps he was too focused on getting a fast time for his team and not thinking about pausing and checking his surroundings before speeding past a certain obstacle. Just like Rene's run, that is another example of speed kills. He may have gotten further than Philip, but again, they will have to rely on the results of the other teams to determine whether their Sasuke World Cup journey continues. The last foreigner to take on the first stage is Daniel Gill from the USA. Having achieved total victory back home last year, he is feeling a lot of pressure coming into this stage, considering the dangerous position his team are in at the moment. But he is used to taking on the course in tense situations, so all he has to do is stay calm, enjoy and do his best. Now, he competed in last year's tournament and cleared the first stage without any trouble, so he should use that experience as an advantage. However, there is one obstacle he hasn't tried before, and that is the wing slider. If he could get past that obstacle, he could beat the rest of the stage smoothly again, no problem. But as many of us thought this could happen, something interesting occurred during his run. Let me go through the play-by-play analysis. He started the first stage strong, getting past the quad steps and rolling hill effortlessly, but on the wing slider, specifically at the drop, he tweaked his left foot, and he was visibly in pain when he got off the obstacle. Now, it would be common for competitors in this situation to withdraw safely when an injury like this suddenly occurs, but knowing the consequences if he did take that route, he decided to keep going, getting past the next 4 obstacles while fighting through the pain. Now, the warped wall is where you need to put all that weight on your feet to generate enough momentum and reach the top of the wall to finish the stage strong. When he was unable to scale it the first time, his teammates yelled at him to drop out of this stage, as it's not worth it and would rather see him conserve his energy for the later stages if they make it through. But Daniel persisted, and when he couldn't reach the top the second time, he dropped and stumbled off the left side of the wall, resulting in a course out. Well, a lot of Sasuke fans like me wasn't expecting this to happen. Thanks to the results before him, Daniel had a clear idea which obstacles he needs to get past, or even clear the stage to secure their safety. It would have been a painful scenario if Daniel safely withdrew straight away after pulling off that injury at the wing slider. That would have resulted in his team's unexpected exit from the competition. No team deserves to leave so early at this World Cup stage, and it would be embarrassing and heartbreaking at the same time if that scenario occurred, considering that the US has more experience in ninja competitions than the other foreign teams. Thankfully, Daniel did the right thing and became the sacrificial lamb for his team, pushing himself past the next obstacles with a bad ankle before he went off course at the end. If he was to clear this stage, this would have been the best first stage performance, better than those speedruns in my opinion. In another behind the scenes video, his wife Abby provided an injury update for her husband, saying, "Gil is fine, he just twisted it a little. I think it's soft tissue damage. I think he'll be fine. He can't compete in the second stage, but if he can make it to the third stage, he'll definitely be able to compete. I'll have a final check with the doctor when he comes, and if it's okay, I think he'll be able to compete in the third stage." Let's hope Daniel's gutsy performance is just enough for his team to advance to the second stage, and if it does happen, you'll have to find out later in the series whether he was able to recover and compete for the next stage and beyond. The final competitor to take on the first stage, and they've coincidentally saved the best one for last, is the legendary World's Strongest Fisherman from Japan, Makoto Nagano. Now, he is well known for achieving total victory back in Sasuke 17. His strong performances and services in and out of ninja have inspired countless amount of people in Japan and abroad. I heard that when the foreign competitors asked which Japanese athlete they admire the most of them picked Makoto Nagano. Like Yamada, seeing him compete at an international tournament for his country is an honor, and despite his team's position on the leaderboard, he is hoping to produce a spectacular performance for the ages and earn as many points for his team to climb out of the drop zone. He technically may have retired from the ninja sport 8 years ago, but he decided to compete in the 2020 edition to lighten up the spirits of the Japanese public during the pandemic. With his son Kai competing in the last 2 tournaments, that slowly motivated him more to come out of retirement and compete in Sasuke again. Now, I think we can all agree that Nagano is still going strong in his 50s, but his goal of completing the first stage after over a decade seems kinda out of reach of him due to his age, and it would also break the internet if he does. Last tournament was definitely one to forget for Nagano. His son cleared it, becoming the youngest to clear the first stage, and when Nagano tried to follow his footsteps, he put too much anti-slip spray on his shoes, causing him to stick too much on the first platform on the quad steps, lost his balance, and fell unexpectedly out of the course. We're hoping this tournament he doesn't embarrass again in front of the audience, especially to the foreigners. Now, if I was to describe his run on the World Cup stage, this was one for the ages, and has certainly learnt his lesson from last time. Before his run, he put a tiny bit of spray on his shoes, and when he started his run, he got past the quad step smoothly this time, and again, like a true Sasuke legend and all-star, carefully got past the next 6 obstacles, taking a lot of time to regain his energy between obstacles. And yes, that did include getting past the Dragon Glider, an obstacle that he got defeated back in 2020, despite wobbling and almost falling backwards off the floating platform after the dismount. The crowd was certainly up on their feet and cheering loudly as Nagano gets closer and closer to the end, but he had little time left when he reached the warped wall, and his one and only try would make this run even more thrilling to watch. So after pausing to rest for a while, he made the run up, had the leap, but oh, he was so close to grabbing the top of the wall with one hand, and time ran out. Oh, so close. It would have been a bittersweet and powerful ending to Makoto Nagano, his team, and the first stage overall. So the age did justify my point on why he just can't complete the first stage on time. At least his run was certainly inspiring to watch for many Sasuke fans who saw him on set and on TV from Japan and around the world. Maybe, just maybe, we might see a first stage clear by a competitor in his 50s in the near future. Maybe it could be Nagano, maybe it could be someone else. We'll never know. So that just wraps up the final heat and the first stage as a whole. Here are the number of points each competitor got, and here are the final standings of the first stage. Team Japan Red dominate the first stage on top, followed by Team Australia thanks to their flawless performances. Team Japan Blue, thanks to the veterans, take third on this stage, followed by Team USA, who just lived to fight another day thanks to Daniel Gill's injury-hit performance. Now, despite being level on points, Team France had more clears on stage 1 than Team Germany had, beating them 3-1. Therefore, the final spot to advance to stage 2 is Team France. So their strategy of playing it safe does pay off by the skin of their teeth. This means at the end of the first stage, we say goodbye to 2 teams, the expected Team Japan Legends and most shockingly, Team Germany. Starting off with Team Japan Legends, again, it was understandable why TBS decided to put yet another Japanese team for nostalgic reasons to increase the viewership and ratings and a once-in-a-lifetime chance to represent Japan on the international stage. Coming into this competition, if I was to describe their chance of winning the competition, it was more in the category of 99.99% chance, 0.01% faith. If you're one of the very few Sasuke fans who believe they have a real shot of winning the competition and bet your life savings of them advancing to the second stage, you would have lost it all completely. Out of this team in my eyes, Kane Kosugi was the one I believe most likely would clear the first stage due to his impeccable first stage unbeaten record and experience. It was certainly disappointing to see him falter early due to his one tourney absence and the fact he recovered from an injury. But hey, the legends of Japanese Sasuke certainly gave a performance for the ages that certainly got the crowd on set and watching from TV in Japan and beyond up on their feet applauding loudly. I know it would be awesome to see one of them clear the first stage, but it was not meant to be in this special occasion. I know inevitably, top competitors would eventually retire due to age or being past their prime, but this ninja tournament in Japan is unique in its own way, allowing Sasuke All-Stars and top veterans to be invited to compete to uplift the crowd and for the ratings. The ninja sport would not be popular in Japan and around the world without these pioneers, and we would certainly like to see more of these ageless performances in more Sasuke tournaments in the future. GG! For Team Germany, who would have thought they would exit the competition so early at this point? The competitors they've got there are all-rounded and incredibly talented. I thought they would go as far as stage 3 where some of the members would shine there, but their underwhelming performances in the first stage, except Benny Grams, was what led them to this demise, especially Rene, the team captain who has competed at this tournament twice before. Rene should have been more mentally focused and not overthink about speeding too much on the course, and it would have made a big difference of his team's final position if he had those careful traits to clear the course like he always would. I was sad to see Philip Gerfurt's run end also early due to disqualification. He certainly had the potential to finish the stage strong and make his team climb out of the drop zone, but I think it was a lack of clear communication of rules of what not to do at certain obstacles, despite being fully explained in a big room the day prior. But hey, all 5 of them certainly gave their best, but considering the level of competition and incredible amount of talent the other countries have, this stage was no room to make the simplest mistakes, especially if you're considering desperately speeding on the course for them big points. Let's hope that in future international tournaments like this, they train their minds to be mentally focused, have full diligence on the obstacles they would potentially face, and hopefully showcase their true talent and abilities to go the distance and win special trophies like this one. GG! So that concludes my analysis and thoughts on the first stage. To summarize, all 35 competitors performed extremely well, showcasing their formidable ninja skills from Japan and around the world. It was nice to see the first stage get a little change, with the third obstacle and time limit being the few instances. Despite those changes, I knew over half of them would complete this first stage, with a whopping 11 foreigners clearing that stage thanks to their experience back home dealing with obstacles that are more or less tough or technical than the ones in Japan. However, at the other end of the spectrum, there have been some surprising upsets along the way. Some of them were justifiable, but for some foreigners like RJ, Joe, Rene and Charles to name a few, I thought they were going to go as far as to clear the stage for their team, but various factors are reasons that led them to disappointing performances. Despite the digest or mid-cuts being the one negative that cuts away the tension and drama to this competition, the results we have witnessed in the first stage have turned out to be so competitive and much more thrilling to watch than a lot of recent first stages in normal tournaments in the past. It goes to show that any top team can be eliminated so early in this type of competition, especially to top teams who we thought would go all the way to potentially winning this inaugural trophy, with my analysis and thoughts on Team Germany's performance as a perfect example from having a promising lineup with talented competitors to an unexpected early elimination. I have never been so excited in my life before finally watching an international competition in Japan, and I've experienced the enthusiasm and disappointment of the results of various competitors local and worldwide. Will this feeling be the same as we progress further in the competition in later videos of this series? Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Before I end this video, what are your thoughts on this first stage? Did you predict correctly on which two teams would get out early on this first stage? Which performances did you find fascinating to watch? And on the other hand, which performances did you find disappointing? If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate it. More videos like this to come as my YouTube journey goes on and on. I always dreamed of a Sasuke International tournament, and it finally came this year.